Hey guys, okay, since I had the scope up here on the bench showing it to you the last time, thought I'd go ahead and kind of tinker with it a little bit. The first few things I've done to it was when I first powered it up, one of the things that was going on was I had no control over the vertical whatsoever. You put an input signal in, it wouldn't do anything, make adjustments and it wouldn't move. So I traced that back. First thing I did with that was just check the tubes, and I found a dead tube in it. So I replaced that, and that got it to the point where it's at right now. The other things I did was I checked the voltages on the power supply and made sure everything was okay there. And so this is where we're at. It is centered right now on the vertical control, but it is not centered on the screen. I have to move the vertical control quite a ways to get it centered. So that takes it quite a bit off of where it should be. Excuse me for the shakiness, but setting the camera on, which I will do here in a minute, on the tripod won't let you really know what I'm going to be doing to get this thing diagnosed. Now what we're going to do is I've got some test leads hooked up to it. I got one set, one side of one hooked right here to this wire here. The other wire coming in is the other vertical plate. These are the two vertical plates. And then I've got some other test leads hooked in at certain spots. One right up on top there, you barely can see it. I'll be connecting the other one in another spot, and another one hooked right there, which you can probably see the green wire, and another one hooked there. Now what we're going to be doing is a standard troubleshooting technique when you have vertical and oscilloscope not coming in correctly. And what that is simply, and I'll get the camera back on the tripod, and give me a second here, and I'll rotate it camera so you can see the schematic. And kind of zoom in. Right about there. So the one test lead is hooked here on one of these wires going into the CRT. What we'll do is when we have no center, or it's off center, the standard procedure is not break out any test equipment other than a test lead and short across. So I'm going to short between here and here, and if everything's okay in the tube and these two resistors, either one of them's alright, then it should bring it to center. After that, if I get center here, then I move down to the plates of the output tubes, and I'll short them together. That should bring it into center. If it centers here but not here, then the problem is inside this delay line. But if it centers here, then the delay line's good. Then we just keep moving back. The next set of test leads is connected here to check the output tubes. If I don't get a center here, then on the output I can, then I know one or the other tube or circuits is got a problem. And a little trick that you can do with that is just assume that I would find a problem here. That when I connect the test leads here, so that both the inputs are the same voltage going in the grids, and it doesn't center, then what I can do is take the test lead off shut the thing off, and switch these tubes. So let's say it's like the way it is, it's high, and I switch the tubes, and then it's down below the line, just the same amount, then that tells me one of the tubes is weak, and then I can test them. If that shows center here, then we move on and to going back further in the circuit. And then last two tubes I talked about was right here. We move back here. Basically when I was doing that, I'm shorting across the plates here, basically is what I'm doing. I short across them, make sure everything's okay. Short here. Each time I'm moving from stage to stage and I'm looking to see if it brings it back to center. When I get to the point it doesn't, then I know it's that stage. So if it was centering on the plates here, being shorted across, and I bring it back here, and that's actually the last test lead, I short these two across and it's not centering, then I know the problem's in here. If not, then the problem is the fact something's going on here and this is not balanced coming in here. One of these would have, and there's adjustment I can make to adjust that. So anyway, we're going to bring it back to the camera or to the oscilloscope. We're going to quickly go through this. I'll zoom back out and kind of turn you down. Now just watch what goes on here. First thing we're going to do is do the actual inputs to the CRT itself. Now there's a little noise on it because I'm using real long test leads, so it's going to pick up some noise. But the main thing is it's centered. So that tells me it's okay at that point. The next point now is we're going to either we're going to check on the other side, and the output tubes, we're going to short the plates there. That's going to be checking this delay line that's in here, if it's okay. Again, some noise because of the test leads. I kind of move it a little bit and it kind of quiets up. But it's centered. That's the main thing. So that means the delay line's good. Now we'll move down a ways. Now we're going to check what's going into those output tubes. Now it's a little low there. Of course I can't adjust it, so it is a little low there. It didn't bring it quite center. So either one of the output tubes is a little bit off slightly, which is close enough I can probably make a slight adjustment for. But otherwise it's not my problem where it's not centering. So we'll disconnect that one. And if you notice, we're off the screen here. Now we'll come to the last little point that I've got. And it's still off the screen. Didn't change it any. A little bit of slight change, but part of that could be the leads. So, what's that telling me? Well, if I go back to the schematic, we're going to go ahead and shut this off because I need to get the check one other thing and also get the test leads off. But I come back here and zoom back in. I'll show you which section it is. that I ended up at. Yeah, that's a little too much. Come on, focus. There we go. We're at this section here. The last lead I hooked was right here and it didn't center. So it stayed where it was at. So that meant something's going on in this area here. The one before it was connecting these plates together and things centered out alright. but this right here is where our problem is. So the next thing I'm going to do is try switching these two tubes around. Now I'm going to take you off here. Yeah, probably. And show you where those two tubes is. So bear with me here. And zoom back out a little bit. So it's these two back tubes here that we're going to deal with. We're going to change these around. There's one back here and one here. So I'm going to get the test leads off, switch those two tubes around, and come back on the video when that's done. Okay, I've switched the two tubes back, and we'll fire it up and see where we're at. Now if it's one of the tubes, for sure it's going to flip from being up in here to down in here. And it did. So that tells me that one of the tubes is bad. I have to actually go the other way with the control to get it centered. Whereas the other time I was going this way to get it centered. So one tube is bad and the other one isn't. So what we're going to do is we're going to test those tubes and see who it is. We're going to do a dirty and quick test. I'm going to set some power down here. And what I mean by that simply is I'm just going to use a simple tube tester. And we'll actually set it right up on top of here. And when I get everything hooked up here and going, I will show you what's going on with the tube tester. That will sit right here. First of all, our 686s, so we got to set up the tube tester. Oh. Okay. We're going to take them two out. They're not the easiest things to get out. And I'm going to kind of move you here a little bit and lift you up some. Maybe you can kind of get an eyeball on what I'm doing. Okay. Fire up the tube tester. I don't have to let this one warm up. That's why I said dirty, quick and dirty. Just an emission tester. And that's all we're interested in. Plug the first tube in, let it warm up a little bit. This is all solid state, this heat kit is. So it's not like a lot of my other tube testers have got tubes in them that I have to warm up, and really they should be warmed up a half an hour before you actually test. So A and B, no short, no short, EF, no short, no short, the light's right there. See, if there is a short, it'd look like that. Okay. Now we'll hit test. About 78. I don't know if you can see that or not. I can try to zoom in. Battery went dead. So anyway, it's reading about 80. We're going to throw the other tube in there real quick because I don't know how long these batteries will last. And see what this one shows. Let it warm up a little bit. We'll check for shorts while it's doing that. Pretty close the same. but yet switching them around, it's a little weaker. Switching them around made a big difference. So this one showed stronger than the other one. So since we're running low on battery, I'm going to shut you off for a second, and off camera I'm going to find a tube. We'll try out and see what happens. Okay, we got a tube in it. I found one that tested pretty good. Tests pretty much the same as the other one. So let's see, let her come up. There she comes. And she's coming down to center. Right on center. So I've got plenty of adjustment. Take clear off. So it turns out that we are now pretty darn good. So it turned out it was just that one tube, but off camera while I was messing with it, one thing I had noticed when I was filming this was it being on and stuff. I noticed initially it was right in here. Then the next thing I know, after sitting running for a while and I was talking about where I had the leads at, it was clear off screen. Well, I took a local, decided to try to leave this tube in the tube tester for quite a while. Let it really warm up good under load, and it just started dropping, falling off quickly. And I don't know if you can see this. Hopefully you can, but you see this discoloration right here? If I rotate it around, it looks more clear. The camera probably won't be able to get in good enough to see it, but there's little bubbles in there. When they make a tube, the base is made first so that they can crimp and get the glass good sealed around the pins coming through. So the pins are set in the glass, and they crimp this down when it's real hot and form it and everything, and then they'll by hand connect all the inner elements onto the pins, and then they'll take another glass tube that is brought in. It's got a nipple on it. That would be this part here, and it's brought in by machine and mated with the base with it heated up. They heat it up so to a melting point. This is shoved together, and then as it's doing it, as it's rotating with several flames around it. But if there's slight impurities for some odd reason, something was just a little bit off, or one of the flames a little bit off, you can get this. And I think as the tube heats up, I think this is opening up just a little bit and letting a little bit of air, not enough to really affect the getter real badly, but just a little bit enough to affect the conduction in the tube and causing it to go off. So just kind of a little tidbit there. So where are we at with the rest of the scope? Well, needs some good cleaning. When I was messing with the power supply, it turned out that a couple things on it. One was at first my voltages were kind of low, and but as time went on they started increasing. So I think what that was doing is the filter caps needed to be reformed, and they now had done all right. Now I have checked one or a couple of the caps in it of the main filters, the two main filter caps, with the 950 after they reformed, and they're not leaky, and they've got excellent power factor. In fact, I can't, if I move this much at all, this knob, it starts narrowing the eye. So they're in real good shape. The other thing I found out is this power transformer is actually designed to work on multiple voltages on the primary. And let me bring it up here on the schematic. And let you see that. Hopefully everything will stay working and the batteries won't go dead. Okay, I lost batteries again. I'm putting used batteries in this thing because I'm out of good ones. But these are the jumpers right here. You move one jumper around and the other jumper around. You pick up different levels of coils, different coils at different points, and you can adjust your voltage. And the way it does it, what it is, and I don't know if you can see this, it's kind of blinding here. But anyway, it says from 110 all the way up to 248. So 110, 117, 124, 220, 234, and 248. Well, these come factory set at 117. I found out that they had moved the jumpers around somewhat in the past to 124. And I had been running it out of my main outlet here, which since it's summertime and everything, it's really drawn down quite a bit. So it's running, well, earlier about 115. So I moved on up to the variac up there. That way I could adjust it up higher to about the 124. But that brought the voltages in. You check them right here. Should be minus 150 on this one, 100 volts positive on this one, 300 on this one. They're all within. Other than that, now the rest of the stuff that needs to be done, this control here for your vertical volts per division is dirtier than heck. Most of the time it doesn't want to make contact very good, and in order to get into it, it's not the easiest thing. It's behind this. As far as trying to come in the bottom, I can get to some of them in here. Okay, try this again. Anyway, they had adjusted it to the 124, and like I was saying, I had to feed it up out of there. Now some of the other things what I was talking about before is getting into these switches and stuff will not be the easiest thing. So what I'm thinking about doing is pull back here a little bit so you can see it, is take the tube and the shield out, loosen this and take it loose. I think it will ride back down in here. The wires all come out pretty much on this side, and that'll give me able to come down in the top and maybe be able to clean them a little better. So, but cleaning up the controls, I have not messed with the horizontal at all, so I got to check it out and check all the tubes in it and test them, make sure they're okay. And on another video I want to talk about this balance circuit a little more and how it operates. Oh, by the way, this is your delay line right through here. It's just a set of coils on each side with adjustable capacitors between them. It feeds up underneath here. There's them resistors, and on back here in the back corner here is where the 224 comes in and feeds. So, and then the wires come off of here going down to the vertical. So I think that's about it on this. We'll have a few other videos on it and stuff I find out, and so, and then see if I've got everything I need to go through the calibration process to calibrate it, or at least check it for calibration anyway. I'm sure it's not dead on by any means. But anyway, I think that's about all I've got. So if you like the video, thumbs up. And if you have not subscribed, if you decide if you like videos like this and you subscribe, then you will get notification when new videos come out. I appreciate any comments I get. I know I don't usually get around to answering them. I do want to mention that due to one of my good viewers, I did find a manual for this. So now I've got a manual and stuff for that. So that'll be down the line. I do know it needs at least the electrolytics looked at on it. So we got the manual for it. Thanks for his input and his diligence of looking it up. So anyway, don't have much else to say, so I'll catch you guys on the next video. Thanks for watching.